Hey guys, Victor here, coming at you with another retro deck profile, and today's focus is going to be on the Edison format once again, with the deck being showcased being Lightsworn. It's a pretty solid rogue, maybe tier 2 option that you can take to an Edison tournament. Just be aware, it's Lightsworn, so you are going to have to rely on luck a lot of the time, but even so, this deck is still incredibly powerful when it goes off, and it can easily take wins off of anything else in the format. So, with that out of the way, let's just jump straight into the deck profile. Now, as always, we're going to be starting off with the monster lineup, and compared to the other decks in Edison, the monster lineup for Lightsworn is honestly super lopsided, just because you don't really play any traps in this deck because you're just going to end up milling them or making your deck less consistent, and the spells that we do play are just super impactful, so as a result, we just play a really high monster count. And because of that, we're going to be playing the one Lumina Lightsworn Summoner, discard a card, reborn a Lightsworn. You're going to be playing one Aurkus, Lightsworn Druid. Your Lightsworn monsters cannot be targeted. You're playing the one Jain Lightsworn Paladin, just a generic beat state that can go up to 2100 when it attacks. The one Ehren Lightsworn Monk to bounce back set cards. Garoth Lightsworn Warrior to help you draw and then mill potentially a lot more. Then we're going to be playing one Celestia Lightsworn Angel. So in traditional Lightsworn decks, you definitely see people playing at least 2 to 3. But when it comes to like modern day Edison, this card just kind of sucks, if I'm being brutally honest, just because you have to tribute a Lightsworn, and cards don't really stay on the field long enough for this card to actually matter. And in a lot of situations, you don't even have a Lightsworn to tribute off, or you don't even want to tribute a Lightsworn. There are way better tribute summonable monsters that we can play instead of the Celestia, and the only time that you would really play more than one of this is if you're playing something such as Sworn, where you want as many fairies in the graveyard, and you have easier ways to manipulate your grave as well. But yeah, for pure Lightsworns, you definitely don't need more than one. You basically just use it for the name a large majority of the time anyways. Then we're going to be playing 2 Lyla Lightsworn sorceress. This is going to be your main method of spell and trap removal, just because, like I said, this is a very luck-based deck, so you can't really rely on cards such as like Decree, MST, Dust Tornado, Heavy Storm to get you there, just because you will probably end up milling them a large portion of the time. So 2 Lyla, perfectly fine for what you needed to do. Then this is probably the more controversial one, at least in modern terms, as we're going to be playing 3 Wulf, and I know you want to play 3, you used to want to play 3 just because you pretty much want to mill them as often as possible, but this card is still a brick, and as a lot of people have shifted to more consistent builds, you tend to see this card actually be played like around 2 copies per deck, but we decided to high roll it, and so as a result, we're going to be playing 3 anyways. Even if we do end up bricking on it, it's okay as long as we draw the solar recharge. Then the only other Lightsworn monster that we play at 3 is Ryko, Lightsworn Hunter. The card's just phenomenal. You set it. If you go first, you are honestly just so far ahead. It hits so many key cards, especially helps you pick apart back rows in addition to the Lylas. So yeah, just 3 Rykos, and then to go with the Rykos, we're just going to be playing 1 super nimble mega hamster to tour them out of the deck. And then this also allows you to basically play some mind games, right? Because you can set either one, and your opponent won't know if they're attacking into a Ryko, or if they're just going to be super punished by attacking into a nimble mega hamster. And just little mind games like that can go a long way in helping you win the game. And then that's it for the Lightsworn monsters. Or I guess like, yeah, I guess you consider Nimble Mega Hamster a Lightsworn monster because it's just there to get Ryko. But we still play plenty more monsters in addition to that. So instead of the 2 Celestias, we're going to be playing 2 Caius the Shadow Monarch. You don't have to tribute a Lightsworn monster to get its effect. It's mandatory. There's so many key cards in this format that just lose to Caius the Shadow Monarch, like Goblin Zombie, Treeborn Frog, your opponent's Rykos, and just being able to lose or get rid of key resources like that pretty much instantly is just invaluable. Because it's like I can't stress this enough. Like a well-timed Caius, especially in the early game, can just straight up end the game. Then to go with 2 Caius, we're playing 2 Honest. It's a light deck. It's a no-brainer to play something like Honest. And then you have 1 card Trooper to help you mill more, and then it gets you a draw when it's destroyed. Necro Gardna to help you block an attack. Plaguespreader Zombie being the only tuner that we play, unless you take something with like Brain Control, for example. But this is going to be pretty much the only method you have to synchro summon in the deck. Then you have cards to help you block attacks or survive attacks, being Tragoedia and Gorz. And then lastly, we're going to end it on the boss monster of the deck, which is Double Judgment Dragon. Card's broken. If it hits the field, you get your priority effect to blow up everything else. If they deal with one, you probably have the second one anyways or access to it, so it's not that big of a deal. And with that, that's the monster lineup, and now we can move on to the spell and trap portion of the deck. Now, as stated previously, the monster lineup compared to the spell and trap lineup is incredibly lopsided, but that's honestly perfectly fine because, like I said, you want to mill as many monsters as possible. However, every single spell and trap in this deck is incredibly important and really high impact, so we're honestly fine with just like the really lopsided ratio. So as a result, you're going to be playing 3 Solar Recharge, 1 Charge of the Light Brigade. If you're good, you're going to be able to mill 1 to 2 Wolves every single time you resolve this card and just get free advantage every single time. Unfortunately, I'm not that good, but you know, I'm not really a Lightsworn player, so it's perfectly fine. Then you're going to be playing 2 monster reincarnations to help you get key cards back from the grave. This is really useful for helping you set up and get back key cards like Judgment Dragon, for example. So you have 3 Lightsworns and a JD, you go monster reincarnation, ditch the 4th, add JD, and boom, you're back in business with a fully powered up JD that can just plop itself down onto the field, priority, and blow up the entire board. Then you're going to be playing 2 Pot of Avarice. So I really like this card in this deck just because, like I said, it's so filled with monsters, and you're going to be able to fill up the graveyard very easily to be able to get this to activate and then draw 2 cards. Just be aware that you should not be using it the moment your graveyard fills up with 5 monsters, right? You want to wait for the moment where you're like in a trouble or you're trying to push for game, and you want to be very careful not to spin back as like all your solo names for Lightsworn monsters unless you really have to, right? Just because then you end up conflicting with your Judgment Dragon and things can just get out of hand really fast. But yeah, I really like this card in this deck. I think it has a lot of potential. Then you play 1 Heavy Storm, 1 Foolish Burial, and 1 Brain Control, just really good spells. And that's it for the spell lineup, and then we just play a couple traps, being the 2 Beckoning Light, which in the mid to late game, you activate this, you discard a couple cards, add back your double JD, Honest, Lyla, Lumina, whatever, and you just go to town and win the game. Really simple stuff. And then for that, we also have the 1 Trap Dustshoot. You flip this card, you win the game. Simple as that. The amount of knowledge that you get off a Trap Dustshoot, being able to put back key cards is just invaluable, and it's very, very rare to lose a game once you resolve this card. And with that, that's the spell and trap lineup, and now we can move on to the extra deck. Truth be told, when it comes to the extra deck, the cards honestly don't really matter because you're only going to synchro summon the 1 time off the Plaguespreader, maybe a second time if you like brain control a tuner away like a Krebons or a Gale or something. So as a result, you can pretty much just put whatever you want in here. Just make sure like the actual good cards are in the extra deck because you never know when they might come up. But yeah, we have 2 Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon just because I hate machines. You play the 1 Armory Arm, the 1 Magical Android, the 1 Ally of Justice Cataster, Goyo Guardian, Brionac Dragon of the Ice Barrier, Flamvel Urukizes, Black Rose Dragon, X Saber Urbellum, Stardust Dragon, Red Dragon Archfiend, Colossal Fighter, Thought Ruler Archfiend, and then lastly the 1 Mistworm. Pretty generic, like I said, but that's just how like the nature of the game is at this point. There aren't really too many good extra deck cards, so every extra deck is pretty much going to look the same no matter how you build it for the most part. And with that, that's the Lightsworn deck. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya!